In this video, we're going to add some user interface elements to our game, including title cards for when we start and change levels, and some text to reflect the player's score. To do this, we're going to use Unity's UI system. We're going to go to Game Object, UI, Canvas. The canvas is going to hold all of our user interface elements. The first element that we're going to create is going to be an image, which we're going to use as a background for our title cards. Let's go to Game Object, UI, Image. Notice that it's created as a child of the canvas. And the first thing that we're going to do, we'll switch over to our scene view and zoom out. And we're going to use the anchor presets here to stretch this to fit by option clicking. We're also going to set the color to black. We'll call this level image. Next, we're going to create a text object that is going to display what level the player is currently on as we start and change levels. Let's highlight our level image, Game Object, UI, Text. We'll call this level text. The first thing that we're going to do is anchor it to the center of the screen. We'll click on our anchor presets and Option or Alt click the center preset. Next, we'll set the color of our text to white by clicking on Color and then dragging to white. We'll set our font size to 32. Notice that when we do this, the text disappears. That's because the text has become too big to fit within the width and height dimensions specified in the rect transform. Because we're going to have text that's going to vary in size, displaying both our level number and our game over message, we're going to use the horizontal and vertical overflows to allow the text to overflow. We're going to set horizontal overflow to overflow and vertical overflow to overflow as well. Now our text reappears. We're also going to center and middle align it. Let's set the font by clicking on the asset picker and selecting Press Start to Player Regular. This font ships with the project. Finally, we'll set our text default, which is going to be day 1. And so that should be good for the level text. We're going to make it a child of our level image so that when we deactivate the level image, the level text will be deactivated as well. Next, we're going to create our food text display. Highlight the canvas, choose Game Object, UI, Text. This text we're going to align to the bottom of the screen in the center. Let's click on our anchor presets and click the bottom center preset while holding down the Option or Alt keys. Again, we'll set the color to white, click Color, drag to white. We're going to set the size to 24. Center and middle align, and we'll set our text to Food 100. We'll set our font to Press Start to Player Regular. Notice again that the text is being cut off. We'll set our horizontal and vertical overflows to overflow. Let's label our text food text. And what we can see here is that the food text is being displayed in front of our title card image. We don't want this to happen, so what we're going to do is move food text up in the hierarchy so it's directly under the canvas. This means that it will be rendered behind the level image and its child level text. The last thing that we want to do is let's temporarily deactivate the level image, and we're going to move our food text up just a little bit from the bottom. We're going to do this by setting the anchors. We're going to set the Y anchor to 0.05. We can see that it moves in the UI, and we're going to set the max to 0.05 as well. Notice that the text hasn't moved when we've done this, but a negative 13 pixel offset has been incurred in the rect transform. Let's now set the position Y to 0, and we'll see our text move up. Let's reactivate our level image, and then we can get into some scripting to control these UI elements. Let's go to our scripts folder and open our game manager in MonoDevelop. Next, we're going to add the code that we need to our game manager to manage our UI and also to handle transitions between levels. Let's reset our private integer level to 1 so that we start on level 1 now. The first thing that we're going to add to our game manager script is the namespace declaration using UnityEngine.ui. Next, we're going to add a public floating point variable called level start delay. This is going to be the time to wait before starting levels in seconds. Next, we're going to add a private variable of the type text called level text. This is going to be the text that's going to display the current level number, which we've currently got set to day 1 in the editor. We're also going to declare a private variable of the type GameObject called level image. We're going to use this to store a reference to our level image so that we can activate it and deactivate it as we want to show and hide it. We're also going to add a private Boolean called doingSetup, which we're going to use to check if we're setting up the board and prevent the player from moving during setup. After a wake, we're going to add a new private function that returns void called onLevelWasLoaded, which takes an integer parameter called index. OnLevelWasLoaded is part of the Unity API, and it's called every time a scene is loaded. We're going to use this to add to our level number and to call our initGame function after a new level has been loaded. We're going to use initGame to manage our UI elements and set up each level. We're going to start by setting our doingSetup Boolean to true. This means the player won't be able to move while the title card is up. Next, we're going to get a reference to our level image object using GameObject.find. Here we're finding by name, so you want to make sure that your GameObject name in the editor matches the string that we're using with GameObject.find. We're going to do the same thing for our level text, but we're also going to get a component reference to the text component. Next, we're going to set the text of our level text to our current level number. The text that we're setting is going to be a string, so we're going to provide day with a space, and then we're going to append our level integer at the end. So in this case, it'll read day space 1. We're going to activate our level image game object using setActive. Next, we're going to declare a private function that returns void called hideLevelImage. We're going to use this to turn off our level image when we're ready to start the level, and we're going to invoke it from within initGame. Inside hideLevelImage, we're going to turn off our level image. And we're also going to set doingSetup to false so that the player can now move. Back in initGame, we're going to invoke hideLevelImage, passing in level start delay as our delay time. This means that once we've displayed our title card, we're going to wait 2 seconds before turning it off. In update, we're going to add a check for doingSetup to our if statement. This is what's going to prevent the player from moving if doingSetup is true. In Game Over, we're going to show a message to the player saying how many days they survived for. The message is going to read, after level number of days, you starved. We're also going to enable our black background. Let's save our script and return to the editor. The next thing that we need to do is to add a few lines of code to our player so that our player can update the food text as the value changes. Let's open our player in MonoDevelop. In player, we're also going to add the namespace declaration using UnityEngine.ui. Next, we're going to add a public variable of the type text called food text. In start, we're going to set the value of food text to the current food score. In attempt move, we're going to do the same thing after we've subtracted from the player's food point score. We're also going to display a message when the player picks up a food object or a soda object. So when the player picks up a food object, we're going to display plus points per food along with their current food points. We're going to do the same thing for soda. In lose food, we're going to display a similar message showing how many food points the player lost when they were attacked. Let's save our script and return to the editor. In the editor, we need to assign a reference to our food text object to our player. Let's choose player, and then we're going to drag in food text to our food text variable slot. Let's play our scene and give it a try. So we see our title card displays. That's working. When we move, our food text updates. We get our delay before moving to a new level. Title card displays with the updated level number. When we're attacked by our enemy, we see our -10 message. And so it looks like everything is working. Now that we've got our UI elements working, in the next video, we're going to add some sound effects and music along with the scripts that we need to control them.